It's a little later than usual, but it's PS Plus Extra and Premium time once again. The mid-month update that brings a heap of games to your catalogue while quietly removing a few out the back door. And all this happens on Tuesday, February 17th at about midday local time. I'll show you gameplay from all the ins and outs, and all I ask in return is for a like and maybe a comment. I'm Adam. Hello there. Let's jump in, starting with the extra tier. It finally happened! Spider-Man 2 has arrived, and the first thing of note is that the story picks up after the other two games, so I'll link a story recap now should you need it. Spider-Man 2 brings a lot of new mechanics, like a quick swap feature allowing us to move between Peter and Miles at will, and it's totally seamless. Plus, we play as a few other characters too. Web swinging is much faster than ever before, and the new web wing mechanic allows the duo to get around even more rapidly. Combat has been refined, with each Spider-Man possessing different skills and gadgets to keep combat fresh, and a host of new bad guy archetypes and Marvel villain fights to play through. The story revolves around the Venom symbiote and the gradual control it has over whoever wields it. But there's also shorter side stories that help us get in the headspace of Miles balancing school with being a hero, and Peter, who is contemplating a normal life with MJ. Spider-Man 2 has a review average of 90 out of 100, making this a masterpiece, and has a typical playthrough of 18 hours with about 30 needed for the platinum. Driving game enthusiasts, on PS5 your game of the month is Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown, an open world racing game that is set on Hong Kong Island. A really cool detail is that this place is a 1-to-1 recreation of the real world Hong Kong Island. And in a later release they brought back Ibiza Island for a sunnier place to drive. We start in a supercar to feel the speed and control, and then the game starts proper and we are taken all the way back down to everyday cars and must grind objectives to slowly get our way towards the supercars again. Reviewers describe the racing as fine and okay, which is represented in the review scores too. The Metacritic is 55 out of 100, which is a little bit worrying. Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown has a 50-hour playthrough and well over 100 hours for the Platinum Trophy. Next up is Neva, an action platformer in which we play as Alba, a woman bound to Neva, who is a antlered wolf. In a hostile world filled with corrupt shadow demons, we fight alongside Neva and nurture the little pup into a true wolf companion. With only a 4-hour story, and with only one word spoken throughout the game, Neva, yet the emotional impact on players is deep. In fact, if you played Gris, then Neva is essentially the evolution of that storytelling as we understand loss and grief while simultaneously feeling empowered. Also, if you're a dog person, this game will hit you very, very hard. Neva has an 86 out of 100 on Metacritic, and only 7 hours are needed for the platinum. So it's worth your time. Monster Hunter fans, a double dip for you this month as Monster Hunter Stories and Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin arrive on the PS4. The turn-based RPGs take a totally different approach from the core games. Instead of hunting monsters, we actively nurture and raise them. The combat is essentially rock, paper, scissors, as by learning the attack patterns of different monster species, you'll easily find a way to victory. There's a few Pokemon-inspired elements, like catching all the monsters, and a party builder, especially in the second game, that allows players to choose a bunch of monsters to team up with. Originally, these were on Nintendo handheld devices, with the average review of each about 8 out of 10, and both have a 30-hour story and about 100 hours needed for the platinum. Here's an interesting one, Echoes of the End Enhanced Edition. On release, the devs admitted the game wasn't quite in the right place, and that's why the Enhanced Edition exists. Overall, Echoes is a fantasy action RPG, as we're on a mission to stop an invasion and also rescue a kidnapped sibling. Combat is essentially Souls-light, with melee and defensive dodges at its core. We also have magical abilities like a stun for a few seconds and a gravitational pull to bring the enemies closer. Echoes of the End released to mixed reviews, so the Enhanced Edition has overhauled much of the game. From the combat to smoother animations, they've added customizations and a new gear system. There's a new game plus, there's 8 new enemy types, and the obtuse puzzles now have improved hints to get through them, with a 12-hour story and about 25 needed for the platinum. Venba is next, and it's a cooking game. Well, I'd actually call it more of a cultural game that follows an Indian family moving to Canada for a better future. The campaign can be completed in just 1 hour, as we use our mother's cookbook, which brings in a puzzle element as the family tries to get to grips with how things were done back at home in South Asia. The platinum organically takes about 3 hours, but gamers with a capital G could probably get this done in about 90 minutes. Sports fans, this month it's Rugby 25, and I know that over 40% of the people watching this are Americans and likely don't really know this sport. So let me just quickly take you through the basics. Our job is to get the egg-shaped ball to touch down in the opposition's area, and most people always note that there's no padding to protect players from big hits, but really the big thing to know is that the ball cannot be thrown forwards. Every pass must go sideways or backwards, and the only way to get to the other side is by using footwork, so running and kicking essentially, until a running fridge hits you. There's a ton more to it of course, and usually South Africa win. Rugby 25 has a 30-hour platinum trophy. Next on both PS4 and PS5, Season, A Letter to the Future, a narrative exploration game which gives you a bike and asks you to keep a journal of memories, sketches, photographs and audio recordings. And why would we do this, you may ask? Well, the end of the world cataclysm is approaching that promises to wipe away all our memories, so we obviously need a book to remind us of the world we lived in. So go record a cow mooing, draw a big artist, and take a photo of a handsome monk. With a 6-hour campaign and about 12 to 15 needed for the platinum, and the reviewers say it's a 76 out of 100, so it's good. Ubisoft, a company that everyone loves, right? Yeah, I thought so. Well, they gifted us 3 things this month that are already live right now. 3 old PS4 games now support 60 frames per second on the PS5. That's Far Cry 3, Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon, and Far Cry Primal. The most Ubisoft thing about this pretty cool update is that the gameplay trailers uploaded are still in 30 FPS. Anyway, imagine there's twice as many frames as you're seeing here. All 3 games are first-person shooters, but each has their own distinct era. Primal has us playing during the days of cavemen with bows and makeshift weapons. Blood Dragon is set in the 80s and the future simultaneously, so the weapons get crazy the longer you play. While good old Far Cry 3 is pretty much present day tech with typical weapons and gadgets found in the last 20 years. Far Cry 3 Classic, Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon Classic, and Far Cry Primal are out right now. Everyone is currently wax lyrical about Hollow Knight Silksong. It's an amazing Metroidvania, yet not many people noticed the previous game, Hollow Knight, the Voidheart edition in fact, got a PS5 update this week. Almost 8 years after launch. We play as an insectoid warrior exploring a fallen kingdom, facing off with tough bosses and really tricky platforming sections. Get this, 97% of people who played Hollow Knight recommend it. So will this new version pull you in? 65 hours are needed for the Sacred Platinum Trophy. Alas, it's time to say goodbye to a bunch of games, with 7 leaving this month. WWE 2K25 is being counted out, and here's an important note, this is the last ever WWE 2K game on PlayStation 4, so this leaving may be a bigger deal to some people more than others. Also leaving is New World Eternum, the MMORPG switched from a free-to-play model to a paid model, and sadly that failed, and the game has been delisted from storefronts and will be closed down forever in 11 months. RIP. Also leaving is the sublime Cult of the Lamb that I'm devastating to say I never finished. Also say goodbye to the rhythm game Res Infinite, au revoir to the cyberpunk action RPG The Ascent, and good night to Saga Frontier Remastered and Super Neptunia RPG. All those games will be locked away on Tuesday, February 17th, so play while you can. And finally, over to PlayStation Plus Premium and the arrival of everyone's favourite boot-carrying robot, Wall-E. The original PS2 game had us cleaning up trash left by the human race before discovering plant life that could bring everyone back home. This takes us on a galactic quest alongside Eve, or Eva, involving puzzles and platforming. Oh, and this version also has the 4-player mini-games and races to try out with friends. And it also should look much better than this, as this is emulated footage from about a decade ago. So, we got there. That's our month. All of these are yours from Tuesday, the 17th of February. You're going to play Spider-Man 2, aren't you? Yeah, me too. I'm Adam, you're awesome. It's been a pleasure. See ya.